Okay, I wanted to say a couple of words about the current situation in the world because the other day I had a client in the clinic who came in and she was very agitated. She was very depressed and angry and sad and hopeless. Um, the way she described how she sees the world, how she experiences what's going on right now was really hopeless. She was really down. She could really see the lights at the end of the tunnel anymore. She was telling me about the Putin and Trump and the war in the Ukraine and the war in the Middle East and everything horrible going on in the world and in our society. She was telling me about people getting sick around her, being hospitalized, people's health going down the drain, very difficult situations in her nearest family. And yeah, I listened to all of that and I acknowledged that this was, her point of view, her situation right now, the way she perceives the world. And then she said to me, well, I'm losing all hope. Actually, I don't want to be alive anymore, almost. It's close to not, I'm close to not wanting to be here anymore. So what can you do? Can you help me? And I looked at her and I said, well, your primary job right now, in light of everything you're telling me, is actually to focus inwards inside of you and start holding the light, really anchoring the light that you hold. But you don't know that you hold it. You actually forget that you are light and you forget that you can hold a tremendous amount of light if you wish to. So your primary job is actually to start being the light holder, both in your family and, in relationship to the world around you. And another very useful thing would be to, turn off the TV, stop watching the news in a way, in that shape and form that they're being served to us. Because the only thing these news are good for is creating fear and more fear and more fear. And when you create fear inside of your mind, you actually reflect more fear around you in the world. Because the world is basically just a mirror of our inner state and our collective beliefs and our collective state of consciousness. So the more we ingest fear, the more we produce and reproduce fear inside of us and around us. And it just creates more anger and imbalance in the world. So turn off the news and stop believing in fear and start focusing on something completely different. And that will be joy. Start focusing on joy instead of, where can you find joy in your daily life? Where can you create more joy in your, in the way you move through the world? Do you have any plans? Do you have any wishes? What do you want to do? What's your life vision? You have to start focusing on that instead of focusing on fear. Because the more joy you focus on, the more it can be reflected back to you in your life. And the more joy you can actually experience and open up to in the future. And, one joyful person can actually affect other people around herself or himself in tremendous ways. So don't underestimate joy. It's very powerful. And then I told her to start creating consciously, to start focusing on her internal reality. Because our internal reality is really creating our external reality. The two are not separate. They're intertwined. Whatever we believe, the way we see the world, the way we interpret the world will be manifested outwardly in our physical reality. It's just a mirror of our consciousness. So our consciousness is really manifesting the world all the way, every single nanosecond. And if you wish to start creating a different outcome in the world, collectively, globally, in relation to peace and war and relationships in the world and our relationship to the earth, then we have to actually start thinking of our mind as matter. Meaning that our mind is actually creating physical matter all the time. We're just not aware of that. And our mind can manipulate, it can manipulate physical matter if we know how to focus on that, if we know how to apply the higher powers that we all have, but they're latent. They're not used. Many people don't even know about them because our mind actually affects reality. It creates reality, and it can affect reality very, very directly. So in order to start changing and shifting the situation in the world, we have to start doing the inner world, the inner work, which means that we have to start like reopening collectively to our spirituality, to our higher powers, higher states of being, a loving consciousness. We have to start realizing that external reality is just a product of the individual and the mass mind. And if we instill more fear and anger into the mass mind, this is what the world will reflect back to us. But if we actually start reconnecting with our higher power, our higher mind, our higher consciousness, or our consciousness, then we can start shifting the state of affairs in the world. We don't have to see the horrible pictures in Gaza. We don't have to see the horrible pictures in Ukraine or any other places in the world. We can actually start shifting it by applying a conscious collective effort, which goes inward to change what's happening around us. It's just a mirror. Our external reality is just a mirror of what's happening inside of us, each one of us. So you actually have the power to start affecting and shifting the collective reality because that's the timeline that you're choosing. There's right now in these years a tremendous amount of awakening in the world. I've never seen more people like waking up every morning and realizing, wow, like there's more to life and there's more to everything that I ever dreamed of. More people are actually opening up to spiritual powers, another way of seeing the world, alternative treatments instead of mainstream treatments. There's like a tremendous amount of movement all over the place. But this is not something that's being reported by the news because the only thing you can read about in the news is the negative stuff. And believe me, you're not interested in that. It doesn't raise your vibration. It puts you down. And you don't need that. Inside of your DNA, you have the codes. You can call it ascension codes or whatever codes, but you have the codes that lead you towards higher consciousness if you choose that path. And it's all very much based on the inner work. So the work we have to do is here, it's inside, it's not so much outside. It's primarily inner work and inner changes and shifts in consciousness that can affect the tapestry of the external reality that we see around us. So this is really all about evolution in consciousness. And you can be one of the main participants if you choose to. And to illustrate the points, I took a spoon with me. It's just a very ordinary spoon. Just do like one of those spoons is like a hard metal. It's kind of hard to bend. I can't really bend my with my normal powers. And I actually got a bit interested in spoon bending or mind as a matter because our mind creates physical matter. Our higher mind can affect and create and recreate and uncreate physical matter. It's doing it all the time. We are just not aware of it. So anyway, like a couple of days ago, a friend of mine posted on Facebook, and she said, "Oh, I managed to like bend the spoon," and I thought like, "Oh, okay, cool, I'm game." So I've never done that before because obviously I always thought the spoon is something which is very useful. If you like, if like you want to eat soup, it's much more useful if you have a pretty straight spoon, not a very bent spoon. But actually got interested because I thought like, okay, let's see how how this functions. I've never been playing with spoons before or bending spoons, but I've been playing with energy for a long time because I've been working as energy and spiritual healer for years now. So I know a bit about energy. So I thought like, okay, I just want to figure it out how you bend the spoon, how you bend hard metal. And basically, and this applies to everything in life. This also applies to your external reality. If you go into your higher mind, if you learn to focus and direct intention in a very specific way, you will be able to affect changes in the physical reality. And you will see changes being mirrored and reflected further out there in the physical world. And if many of us, if like billions of people learn to use higher powers in a very conscious and loving way, because that's the key word here, conscious and loving way, then we'll be able to see a very different world within a very short time. It doesn't have to take a long time. You know, evolutionary leaps in consciousness don't need to take time. They can, but they don't have to. So just to illustrate the point, I think I'm just going to do a little bit of spoon bending just to show that, yeah, what the power of the mind, the focused mind can do. Okay, there we go. Look a second. Two. And if you can bend spoons, if you can bend other things, if you can, affect other things, which is absolutely possible, then just try to imagine what we can do to the world collectively if we start creating and affecting our reality from our higher states of mind. And this is not something they teach you at school. And this is not something they want you to know. But it's so important.